Hello everyone! So today I am going to be sketching in my sketchbook, something I don't do often enough anymore and something I've hardly ever done in any of my videos. And I am also going to be talking a little bit about my experiences as an artist. More specifically, my experiences in the convention world and 10 tips to make your Artist Alley booth a success. I wanted to try something a little bit different than my normal tutorials and maybe offer some helpful information for any artist just starting out. Now, just to start things off with a disclaimer, these are my personal opinions from my personal journey. You do not have to follow everything to a T, these aren't rules, nor should you feel like this is the only way to be successful in an Artist Alley. I will be talking mostly about how to manage funds wisely, set up your table to be inviting, and how to engage with customers to get the most out of your convention experience. I can't tell you what products to sell, since that's up to you and the convention that you're going to, but I will give you tips on how to sell your products. I will get the less fun financial stuff out of the way first. I feel many artists do not like thinking about or dealing with money. But it is a very crucial part of setting up and keeping your business going, whether we like it or not. If money could only magically appear in our pockets anytime we needed it, that would be amazing. But anyways, here we go with tip number 1. Try not to spend more than you make. This is a really hard one because at first you really have to do that because you haven't made anything yet. But once you've started to make a profit, only invest the money you make from shows into future shows. I gave myself a year before I started living by this rule. I only apply to shows that I can afford the booth fee. I only purchase supplies with the profits from my shows, and I only buy equipment after I've had a successful show. If you are making living as an artist, you will have multiple revenue streams, so it is tempting to just sink all of that into shows, but try to keep those things as separate as you possibly can, especially when you start out. This is going to help you keep track of how much of a profit you are making so that later on you know how much money you can set aside to invest in conventions. Tip number 2, make as much of the stuff yourself as you can. You make a bigger profit, and if you run out of merchandise during the convention, you can restock quickly, instead of waiting weeks for another company to make your products. If you invest in a good printer, you can make all of the prints, stickers, packaging, all of that stuff yourself and save a bunch of money. When you have been doing shows for a while and you know how much money to invest and how much a product will sell, I think ordering in bulk is a tad cheaper. It certainly takes less time, but it is often a huge investment up front. This ties into tip number 3, which is when you are starting out, don't order manufactured goods like plushies and enamel pins. Wait until you get a good feel for your audience and you know what kind of things sell at shows. It is a big investment up front, and you want to make sure that you will see a return on that investment. And it does take a couple shows for you to see a profit on these items. Now, I know enamel pins are pretty much impossible to make yourself, but plushies are actually something that you can make a mock-up of to sell or display at a show and gauge the interest of your customers. You can also display a pin design and take pre-orders, but this is something I have very little experience with, so I can't advise you on this one. Tip number 4, have expensive and cheap items at your booth. Some people just want the cheaper items like stickers. Some people are looking for nice art pieces to put in their home. And then some people will love your expensive artwork but cannot afford it, so they will buy a less expensive item, maybe even staying in touch with you so they can buy the expensive piece further down the road. And this ties into step 5, or tip number 5. Do not make too much of one thing. Unless you are going to multiple shows a year that have a very similar theme, I wouldn't make too many of one thing to start out with. I would vary what I make and have more of a variety than quantity. This way you can gauge what your audience and customers like and see what sells. I personally don't have one thing that sells vastly more than the rest, so I continue to make a wide variety of items. I make everything from button pins, prints, bookmarks, stickers, original paintings, resin jewelry, resin artwork, keychains, amigurumis, hats, headbands, hand-painted bags, and shoes. And maybe even other things. I've kind of forgotten what all I make. There are some things that sell less frequently that make more money, like the original artwork, and some things that sell very frequently but make less, like stickers. It tends to even out overall, enough that I can justify continuing to make all of these items. Now, I'm not saying that you have to make all of these items. I tend to go overboard and I'm a bit excessive, but having a wide variety of the types of products that you offer is a very good idea. Now on to setting up your table. This is really fun to think out and one of my favorite aspects of having your own booth at conventions. It's like a mini storefront and you can set the tone and create whatever atmosphere you want for your little corner of the convention world. Tip number 6, if you can put wheels on it, put wheels on it. If you can fold it, fold it. Making sure that everything can be carted to and from your car in as few trips as possible is so important. It is the part that I dread the most when going to conventions. I have done my best to streamline my packaging to make it to take up as little space as possible so it fits into my 2 rolling totes and my wagon. The less you have to physically hoist and carry, the easier the setup and breakdown will be. I am still guilty of having a few bulky displays, but I am working on building up my stock of folding, collapsible, and compact displays so I won't have to lug around huge standing grids anymore. Tip number 7, if you can theme your table, you will stand out more. A lot of people use bright colors and custom displays to bring people in, and they typically have a banner with their business name on it. These are great ways to draw interest and reinforce your brand. But when you're starting out and you don't want to invest too much money in banners and custom displays, you can still theme your table. Pastel colors are very effective in eliciting calm feelings from the customers. Bright colors, excitement. Dark colors, mystery. Earth tones, comfort. Choose whatever colors suit your brand and complement your artwork. I find that at anime conventions, pastel colors are very popular. I love them myself, but since my artwork has a very wide spectrum of colors and a lot of them are darker colors, I tone all of that down with earth tones. I use natural wood bowls, little fake succulents scattered everywhere for decoration, and I even bring some little tree stumps to set some of my displays on. I try to go for kind of a fairy woodland look. It's not especially on brand with all of my artwork, but it does pull it all together so it doesn't look too mismatched, and it does create the atmosphere that I want for my space. Now here comes the best part of going to conventions, but sometimes the scariest part, dealing with customers. Getting customers to stop at your table and talk to you is really hard for many introverts and shy people like myself, but there are ways you can use this to your advantage and ways you can bump up your energy level to grab a little bit of attention. So tip number 8 is greet everyone. Not just the people that stop by your table, but the people who don't look like they're going to stop, who don't look like they're interested in buying from you, or who don't even look like they're having a good day. Greet them. Say hi, smile at them. You would be surprised how many people who weren't going to stop at your table will stop and browse if you greet them with a friendly smile and ask how their day's going. And if they ignore you, they ignore you. No big deal, no embarrassment needed. I know it feels kind of like a personal insult if they ignore you, but don't let that turn you off of saying hi and smiling at the next person. Tip number 9, if you are shy, bring someone who likes to talk. A lot of conventions either offer an extra badge with the booth, or you can purchase an extra badge. I highly recommend this. Not only will you have someone to help you set up the table, you will also have someone there with you to help you engage customers. Having a friendly face at your booth will draw people in very easily, and if you engage people right off the bat with conversation, you are more likely to keep them at your table long enough for them to peruse the items you have for sale. I am an incredibly shy person, but I have learned through working customer service and being in an art gallery for several years how to engage in friendly conversation with strangers. Though I still try to bring one person with me that is high energy level or extroverted, because despite my friendly demeanor, I can't keep up high energy for very long, and my booth helper always supports me and takes up the high energy baton when I need to take a breather. It's also nice to have someone to talk to when there is a lull in the traffic, but don't continue to talk to each other and ignore customers. If anything, draw them into your conversation. I have one friend who is exceptionally good at this, and I am so grateful to her that she uses those talents to help me out at conventions. If you and your booth helper were talking about a movie, especially one that has just come out, ask the customer, have you seen this movie yet? Did you like it? What are your opinions on it? Do you like this actor? Do you like that actor? You know, things like that. Any way you can draw them into the conversation you were just having really makes them feel relaxed, and there's a lot less pressure on them, and they don't feel like you're trying to force them to stay at your table. And that ties into tip number 10. Having a conversation with someone is almost always a guaranteed sale. Unlike a merchant hawking their wares trying to sell the product, I prefer to do what's called a soft sale. I don't promote the products I have. I promote someone's love and interest for the show the fan art is from and engage in conversation with them so they have good feelings towards me as a person. I trust to my art skills to sell the product for me after I get the customer engaged. This might sound kind of sneaky, but it really isn't. I like to make people feel comfortable, and people like to be made to feel comfortable. And I've had people come back to my table at conventions over and over again just so they can have a mini chat with me and just take a break. And if they see me at another show, they will come back to talk to me because our relaxed conversations made an impression on them at the previous show. And they oftentimes buy something from you almost every time, just as like a thank you for your time and attention. And here is just a little bonus tip. Just because something is popular does not mean you need to make fan art of it, and just because what you like is not popular doesn't mean you can't make fan art from it. I am a fan of a lot of shows and movies that have very small followings, but I still make fan art for them because when someone comes along that loves the show as much as I do, we can have a great conversation about it, and they can buy fan art from a show that has little to no official merchandise. So those are my 10 or so tips for how to be successful in an artist alley. I can do videos that delve further into any of these topics. If y'all are interested, just let me know in the comments. I hope some of this advice was helpful. I have watched a lot of great artist alley advice videos. There are a lot of experienced vendors out there who offer a lot of great information. But I thought I would add some information on aspects that I haven't seen talked about as much. Definitely give me your feedback and let me know if you like videos like this and if you would like me to do more. I have a list of art stories and art topics that I want to talk about, but I want to know if it's something that y'all actually want my input on. I really enjoyed making this relaxed sketchbook drawing and chatting video for everyone. Like and subscribe if you want to see more, and as always, have a great day. Bye.